Hello everybody and welcome back to Certified Collectibles. This is another episode of First Appearance of the Week. This is Wednesday, May 28, 2025. We'll be giving you all the first appearance in your comic shops today. Now this week we got a pretty good lineup for you guys. I think we have 4 first appearances, 4 honorable mentions, so 8 titles on to go through. There's definitely some books there you guys should pick up for your collection. So let's go and get started for the first appearance of the week, ending May 30th, 2025. First up from DC Comics, Absolute Wonder Woman number 8. This features the first appearance of Dr. Poison. Now, we've been telling you guys for a while about this Absolute series from DC Comics. Anytime they introduce a new character into this series, or bring in an Absolute version of an existing character into this series, these are books you definitely want to pick up and have in your collection. You know, the Absolute Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman titles, those are definitely the ones you want to focus on. This issue does have the first appearance of Dr. Poison. Don't really know how important that particular character is in the overall DC universe, but like I said, it really doesn't matter with this Absolute series. Anytime they bring a new character into these titles, these are books collectors and fans really chase after and really hang on to in their collections. So this one here is one we do think you should pick up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. Next up from DC Comics, Mr. Terrific Year 1 number 1. This features the first appearance of Athena Prescott. This also features the origin of Mr. Terrific. Now, DC Comics has really been pushing this Mr. Terrific character. We really don't know why. Maybe they have big plans for this character. Maybe they're going to bring this character into a small screen, big screen project. Maybe they're going to bring this character across more titles in the DC universe. We really don't know, but they've definitely been pushing this Mr. Terrific character. And this here is another series for Mr. Terrific. This is year 1. You know, we really don't know how important this character is going to be in the future. Like I said, DC is really pushing this character, but that doesn't really mean anything. If fans and collectors really don't like this character, it's really going to go nowhere. This issue does have this first appearance of Athena Prescott, but like I said, if they're introducing this character into a series no one cares about, that's really not a big deal. This here also features the origin of Mr. Terrific. Once again, if nobody cares about the character, they're not really going to care about the origin. You know, if this character takes off, DC's able to market this character, create a lot of hype about him, then, you know, this series probably will be very under-collected. All the Mr. Terrific titles will probably be under-collected. And you know, sometimes it's these underdog titles or these characters nobody cares about. These are the ones that really blow up later because nobody collects them when they actually hit the shelf. So they're definitely undercollected, low print runs, probably low distribution because a lot of comic shops probably aren't going to carry these Mr. Terrific titles. So this one here does have a few things going for it. Definitely going to be speculative if you choose to pick it up. But you know, $3 or $4 may be worth a spec. Grab this here for a spec if you can. If you can't, put in your B-list and take a look at it later on. Next up for Marvel Comics, Giantsiz XMen number 1. This features the first appearance of Mutina, Justina LaGuardia. Now, like we always tell you guys, always a good idea to pick up the first appearance of new characters in Marvel titles. And this here is the first appearance of a new X-Men character. You know, there's a huge fan base, huge collector base for X-Men alone. Not only that, but this here is a Giantsiz X-Men number 1 title. You know, this is volume 3 of Giantsiz X-Men, so there are 2 previous versions or 2 previous releases of Giantsiz X-Men number 1. And if you're a collector, you know how important those 2 releases are. So this here is Giantsiz X-Men number 1, like I said, volume 3, so this here is the 3rd Giantsiz X-Men number 1. Now, we don't really know how important this new character is going to be, this Justina LaGuardia character, but you know, the fact that they're introducing this character into the Giantsiz X-Men number 1, you know, Marvel Disney may have plans for this character. You know, like I mentioned in previous videos, now that Marvel Disney has the cinematic rights to the X-Men and the Fantastic Four franchises again, you can definitely expect to see a lot more content hitting the small screen and big screen. And the fact they are introducing this character into this Giantsiz X-Men number 1, like I said, that does give this character a little bit more potential to go strong. So this one here, one we do think you should definitely pick up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. Next up for Marvel Comics, Wolverine and Kitty Pryde number 2. This features the first appearance of Snow Samurai. There is a possible appearance in issue number 1. Now Wolverine, hugely popular character, huge fan base, huge collector base. You know, this is only issue number 2 of the Wolverine and Kitty Pryde series, so we don't really know how strong this particular series is going to be in the future with fans and collectors. But you know, Wolverine, the character alone, huge fan base. They are introducing this new character into this particular title, the Snow Samurai. You know, it really depends on what Marvel does with this particular character as to how popular it's going to be with fans and collectors. But, you know, like we always say, probably always a good idea to pick up the first appearance of new characters in Marvel titles anyway, because you really don't know what Marvel has planned for these characters they're introducing in the comics. If they hit the small screen and big screen, you can definitely expect collectors to race back to the secondary market and try to find these books. So this one here, another one we do think you should pick up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. And now for the honorable mentions. From Keenspot, Mark Spears Monsters number 5. Now, the only reason we put this here on the list is because this monster series, this Mark Spears monster series, has been hugely popular with fans and collectors. Always sells out. Fans and collectors really love this series. This here is issue number 5. And like I said, very popular series. Issues number 1 through 4 definitely do trade at a premium in the secondary market, especially a lot of the variants. There's typically a lot of variant covers for each issue in this series, but we typically only highlight usually the cover A or the main cover, just because a lot of the variants are store specific, or maybe they're so low print run you can't actually even find them anywhere. So just to have an example of this, cover A would probably do just fine. So this one here, like I said, the only reason we put this on the list is because the series itself is just incredibly popular. Definitely going to be speculative because you are specking on the popularity of this series and that popularity holding strong into the future. So this one here, definitely speculative. Grab it for a spec if you can. If you can't, put in your beat-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from Marvel Comics, Venom Original Sin number 1. This features the origin of Eddie Brock as the Illuminated. Now this originally was published as a digital series. So this one here, the fact that this was originally published as a digital series, and the fact that this is not the first time readers are actually going to see the story, this is only the first time they're going to see it in print. This one here, definitely going to be a little more speculative. This here is also the origin of Eddie Brock as the Illuminated, so really don't know how important that storyline is going to be in the future either. But this here is a Marvel title. Marvel Disney is still churning out a ton of media for the Spider-Man universe and the Venom universe, so if they bring this Illuminated character onto the screen, collectors will definitely race back to the comic to find this origin story. Now, like I said, since this was published originally as a digital series, this is probably going to be a low print run. A lot of stores probably won't expect a huge sale on this because fans and collectors might have already read the story, so they're not going to buy a paper copy. So this one here may have a smaller print run than usual, and maybe a lower distribution as well. And typically those two things alone are very strong catalysts for growth in the future. So in my opinion, this here is a great spec. It's definitely going to be speculative if you choose to pick it up. But like I said, given those factors I just mentioned, this one here does have strong potential to go big in the future. So if you can, grab this here for a spec. If you can't, put in your beat-list and take a look at it later on. Next up from Image Comics, Dark Honor number 1. Now this here is the premiere issue of this new miniseries. For nearly a century, the 100 has been the strong arm of the New York underground. But now, as COVID-19 ravages the city in early 2020, a different kind of plague has arrived. A criminal mastermind mounting his takeover unless Rain, the daughter of the 100's leader Joseph, can unite the last elements of the fading crime gangs in one desperate attempt to fight back. Now we put this on the list because this sounds like it can easily translate to a small screen, big screen project, and like we mentioned before, Image Comics has had a lot of their titles picked up an option for small screen, big screen projects in the past. So this one here will be speculative if you choose to pick it up, because you are specking on this getting picked up an option, getting a lot more eyes on this title, and getting collectors to race back into the secondary market to find this book. Sounds like a great spec in my opinion. Grab this here for a spec if you can. If you can't, put in your B-list, but definitely keep an eye on this one. And finally from Image Comics, Mommy Blog number 1. In this scathing, brutal, outrageous black comedy, Astrid is an aspiring social media supermom, keeping tabs on her glamorous gated community after the disappearances of several neighborhood children. Certainly a predator is afoot. She turns all her cunning and creativity into catching the killer. This is touted as an unsettling black comedy that shows what horror can lurk even within the hearts of a suburban mom. Now we put this on the list because it sounds easily translatable to the small screen, big screen, and Image Comics, like I just mentioned, has had a lot of their titles pick up an option in the past. So this here will definitely be speculative if you choose to pick it up, because you are specking on this getting pick up an option, hitting the screen, and getting collectors to race back and try to find this premiere issue. This one here, once again, another great spec in my opinion. Grab this here for a spec if you can. If you can't, put in your B-list, but keep an eye on this one as well. So there you have the 8 titles we have for you guys this week. There's definitely some books in there you guys should pick up for your collection. So please feel free to drop some comments in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you like this video. As always, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for joining us here at Certified Collectibles, and we'll see you again next time.